This is actually bigger than just like helping people get a job. Like we're literally changing people's families and future.
Yes.
And so then it was like, okay, this is a much bigger mission than just, getting people jobs or saving people money in the US. Maybe it's a good idea to connect American people with Latin people directly through a direct rate. So I hired this one person, and the first person was a pretty bad experience.
Choice? Okay, so she's no longer with you.
No, the first one actually scammed me. I didn't tell him at the time, but I'm like, I have zero idea what this guy is asking. I have no idea what they're asking. I'm like, I'm a digital marketer. I don't know what you're talking about.
CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion.
It's been a minute since I've done like a pickup and people don't know, like, hey, we're rolling, we're moving.
I love it. Awesome.
Welcome to another episode of the CEO InMotion with my buddy here, Jaime, from CEO of Virtual Latinos. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. Thank you for picking me up.
Hey, I don't think I've ever done one in Spanish, man.
All right.
Maybe we can have AI translate it
for another time. No problem. Two Mexicans speaking in English. That's okay.
El CEO InMotion. Hey, no, this is really great. We're here in Las Vegas. Welcome to my hometown.
Thank you. Happy to be here. What an honor. After you showed me yesterday the whole show. It's awesome.
Yeah, everything worked out perfectly. So we went out for dinner last night. These guys were very graciously to invite me for dinner, and I mentioned the podcast, and here we are.
Yeah, I like it. Wow. Very nice to be here.
Yes, it's very, very exciting. So, quick admin. Listen, the cameras are always rolling.
Okay.
Even if they turn off, they're going. If you want to see yourself, you can just tap in the back. As long as this light is flashing, we're good.
Okay, good to know.
We'll be driving about an hour, man. We'll go up and down the strip.
Perfect.
I'll ask about your background. I'm actually excited that Jenner said that because I was like, I know him well.
Yeah.
But I don't know you as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
great opportunity to chat.
Yes. I love hearing the stories about founders. So tell me what Virtual Latinos is, a couple minutes, and then and I want to know how you got started with the idea.
Sounds good. So Virtual Latinos is a recruitment agency. So we help connect the two worlds of North and South America. So we connect virtual professionals in Latin America that are looking for a great opportunity to improve their lives, and they're actually highly qualified professionals, with people in the United States that are looking to hire great talent at a lower cost.
Amazing.
So we connected the two worlds, and the whole idea, I'll tell you more in detail where it came out of, but we're very happy that we're able to connect all the Latin people that have great talent. And I'm originally from Mexico, as you, so growing up it was hard actually hearing the family since I was a kid, just people saying, even if you're going to study and even if you come from a family that has money, like, there's not really good opportunities in Latin America. And that was like kind of sad to hear.
It's kind of deflating, but you're very eloquent. I'm guessing you've done that spiel of what Virtual Latinos is a few times.
I've done it a few times.
That was very, very good, Jaime.
Thank you.
The reality is that you guys do have amazing talent, and I think there may be like some people think like, oh, well, I don't know if about hiring people from outside of the country, maybe they're not qualified. But these are people that are highly, highly qualified, educated, and better than anything, they're anxious to work. They're excited to work. They're
excited.
They're on time. They're punctual. They're just amazing people.
Yeah, that's really something that a lot of people tell us. It's not something like we actually, let's say, talk about or marketing-wise use as a tool, but the reality is it's the truth. Like, once people start working with the community of, Latinos that we have, they're like, wow. Like, these people are amazing. Like, they actually care. They show up. They really try hard. And usually they're saying that, of course, when they're comparing them to usually the employees that they have in the U.S., which, of course, there's great people in the U.S. We are here in the U.S. too, but it's like the type of talent that they were looking for to replace tends to be like, oh my God, I don't want to go to work. Or like, even if they have a job, they complain. And sometimes they would tell us, like, especially in the law firm industry where, we're right now here at MTMP, is because a lot of people are looking for paralegal work and like, the starting price for somebody like that in the U.S. tends to change depending on the state, but in many places at least $25 an hour. And there's like, they're telling us the stories like, people come to an interview, then we hire them, and then sometimes they show up for a week and then they stop coming, or they're just coming but they're complaining, they don't want to do things. So generally speaking, when people are really hungry, which people in Latin America are, it makes a big difference.
There's definitely some entitlement here, and it's not about talking down the American people, the working people. Not at all. It's about really talking up the virtual Latinos, the people that are there to help another community. And I want to get some numbers. Like, how many companies do you guys work with? How many companies are you guys,
So right now, actively, we have a little over 800 clients.
Wow. That's
we have
amazing.
had a total of over 2,000 clients, but not everybody ends up staying for the entire time. Some people work with us for a year, 2 years. We have had clients since the beginning. So we still have our oldest client, which has been close to 5 years with us. But yeah, so in
So
total,
800 clients.
800 clients is pretty good. Yeah.
And how many virtual Latinos are in your system?
So right now, actively working for our clients, a little over, actually close to 1,600 people, which is pretty good. So
That's
we're very
amazing.
happy. Yeah, we've been able to help a lot of people, really in both sides. So yeah,
Really, it's not
been
just
great.
it's not just 1,600 people. Like, these people sometimes are able to afford for their husbands or their wives or their
Exactly.
parents or their kids. Like, they the fact that they're working, earning dollars, but they live in South America, and that money goes further. They're able to help their families. Like, you're
Definitely.
impacting more than 1,600 people, and that you should be very, very proud of doing that for the Latinos.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud for you, man.
Thank you. No,
Like,
the truth is,
that's really
like
cool.
once we started, like at the very beginning, actually, so I started doing some like town halls where we would basically just invite the people to come and like chat with us, right? So the people who were either part of the community but not yet hired, or they were already working with us, and we're like, like every couple months we're just gonna get up on Zoom and everybody's invited to just chat with each other, and for them to get to know us, for other people to get to know other people already working, and it was great because. Even though we didn't really have a plan, like people just started sharing. Usually the ones that were already working, they're like, oh, like thanks to Virtual Latinos, I've been able to buy a house, I've been able to buy a car, I've been able to take my kids to like a private school. And they're like, oh my God, like this is actually bigger than just like helping people get a job. Like we're literally changing people's families and future.
Yes.
And so then it was like, okay, this is a much bigger mission than just, getting people jobs or saving people money in the US, which is why now we actually have like our 10-year goal, like to improve the lives of 1 million people, which is exactly what you just mentioned, right? Because we don't just make a difference for the people that are actually just working or the people here in the United States, growing their businesses, but it affects everybody, right? Whether it's the spouses or the kids or the larger family. So now, if we get to hire over 1 million people, that'd be crazy, right? But the idea is to hire enough people where we make a difference in those people's families and those companies in the US who hire those people who also improve their lives by being
That's
able to grow their
amazing.
businesses. So yeah, it's cool. I actually, calculated the number. Right now we're like close to like 50,000 people in terms of how many we affect. I did some stats in terms of, what's the average family size in Latin America versus what's the average, size of somebody that has a family in the United States, and what's the average employees that we have in terms of our clients. I wanted to come up with a formula to see,
You're
how
already
long it'll
creating
take.
the impact. So you're already impacting, let's say, about 50,000.
Yeah.
That's more than most people will ever, like, in a lifetime. You should be really, really proud. So I do want to know how this whole thing started. So I grew up in Mexico. Did you grow up in Mexico?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Mexico City.
Uh-huh.
Then I lived in Cuernavaca for 5 years before coming to the US. So yeah, been definitely born and raised in Mexico.
But
Mexican
5
passport.
years, and then you moved here to the U.S. when you were little?
Well, no, I moved here already like 20 years ago. So 20-something years ago.
Got it.
So I did high school and college. So I've been in the U.S. for quite some time. I've also went out and studied and lived other places. But yeah.
What's
it's
your
been a while.
education? Where did you go to school?
So I did my bachelor's in business in San Diego. So I went to San Diego State.
Oh, you're an Aztec?
Yeah, so I'm an Aztec.
Hell yeah. I'm a torero. I don't know if you knew.
That's from USD. You told
Yeah,
us last night.
yeah,
Yeah. I imagine USD, so I know toreros. So I applied to several schools, but
I had a lot of friends from SDSU. What years
Yeah.
were you graduated?
So I graduated 07. So
Oh, yeah. That was in the smack where I was. Like,
yeah.
did you ever go to the parties in TJ?
No, I
You were actually
unfortunately
a good
didn't.
student?
You know what? I actually graduated luckily in
Hey,
3
look
years.
at this guy.
Oh yeah, there you go, another color.
Nice, buddy. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
that's almost
so
like my
I
car.
went to San Diego State, and it was great. But the truth is, I was also working full time. So I wanted to manage both. And actually, no, I wasn't working full time, but I was studying full time and working part time. And I literally went to school twice a week. I was able to manage to just go Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Just crank it out.
And that's crank it out. And then I had enough AP credits, and so I graduated in 3 years, which was great. I
Nice.
actually spent a year after high school in Israel.
Oh, you're smart.
With Yener. So Yener and me.
Is that
went
where you guys
traveling.
met?
No, we met right before high school started in San Diego, and then we did all high school together. And then we went to Israel I went for a year, he went for 6 months.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, when I got back, I started going to the university, and yeah, we've been friends for a long time.
Oh, that's really, man, what a great story. Okay, so you must have postgraduate education.
Also, yeah. So then I did an MBA in Israel. So I went back to Israel.
Because you're smart, I can tell. Just
Thank you. I mean, I wanted to get a master's in general, and in this case, it's a longer story why I chose to go to Israel, but I chose to go to Israel. It was in English. I do speak a little Hebrew, but this was just in
Mishpacha.
Mishpacha. It says chutzpah. Chutzpah, mishpacha is family.
Yes, that's
right. Mishpacha.
I know a few words.
Yeah, so I got my MBA there in 2012, and then I came back, and in 2015 I started my marketing agency, which now became Virtual Latinos.
2015. So what was before Virtual Latinos?
Bluminati, which is still actually our legal entity. So I started in 2013, like with a brand name of the agency called Bluminati.
What does that mean?
Bluminati. So I combined the words of blooming and illuminating people with marketing knowledge. At least that was the idea. I'm like, I want to be able to not just help people and do the work for them, but actually teach them, how marketing works. Not necessarily how to do it, but to understand the concept so that they wouldn't just be paying me money and just like fully trusting me. Not that I didn't want them to trust me, but I wanted them to like learn, so that if they learned what marketing is about and how it works, they'd actually be able to also do some things themselves and like actually improve whatever they're doing.
I like the name. Bluminati is a good name.
Thank you.
It's a good name.
So I wanted to help them bloom. That was the idea. Help them bloom.
That entity still exists?
Yeah. It's still the only
so
legal entity that
exists. It's Virtual Latinos, like a
It's just
DBA?
a brand name. Yeah, it's a DBA. So I just bought a domain, and when I started the Virtual Latinos company, I didn't want to go through the hassle of another legal entity.
But I love like marketing. So you guys are on point. Like you guys got your purple color, the Virtual Latinos. I've seen some of the decks. So I myself, I'm not just. What is this person? Look at this. What's going on?
Oh my God. Welcome to Vegas.
This is what happens in Vegas, guys. You guys can't see it, but there's a girl that just walking in her high heels and a skirt, and then just stopped the traffic, and she was like stomping the ground. I gotta get me a JC, our marketing manager. He always tells me, he's like, every episode something happens in the podcast and we can't see what's going on.
Yeah, so you should say what's going on.
So he wants me to put in a 360 camera on top of the car so that it's recording everything that's going on the outside.
That's a great idea.
I've seen helicopters stop in here. I've seen like ambulances going this way. Yeah, I've seen crazy things. People grab onto the car,
So I actually recorded several parts of my wedding with a 360-degree camera.
Did you? Yeah, it's amazing, right?
I'm like, they were already out. There's like a small Samsung camera, and I'm like, I wish I could just go back in time and see the wedding, and not just pictures and video, but like actually turn around. And at the time, I had the little virtual reality things that were like in a box. The VR things that you could put in a box. They were
I remember. Yes.
They were like cardboard. Yeah, the cardboard things where you put your phone. So I hired someone from my marketing agency at the time. She was my first marketing assistant, and I told her, hey, can you come and just be at my wedding? Just walk around. I made a custom-made cap, and I put a little screw so I could put the camera right on top of her.
And it was on you? Or
Not on me, on her. So I just told her, just walk around, and every time just, make videos. And so now I have it. I mean, it's not the highest quality, but it's amazing.
But it looks good?
Yeah, it's good enough to at least remember what happened.
So, this is inspiring me to do it, because there's always something that goes on this, and that's why I like doing the podcast in the car, because there's always something different. It's a different background. People, we're doing this in the middle of the day, but when we do it also at night, it's all lit up.
Yeah.
And it's Friday night, people get crazy,
Yeah, Vegas is a crazy place.
So yeah, it's really, really fun. I love Las Vegas, man. I absolutely love it. Okay, so going back, you changed sort of like the name, sort of as a DBA. I like branding. What I was saying right before that woman is like that I've been actually I guess I'm your client of Virtual Latinos, and I've used you guys for maybe 2-3 years, and I've had several people, and everybody, like from the interview process, from the paperwork that you guys send us, from the questionnaire at the very beginning, in order for you guys to understand what our needs are, has been exceptional. Like you guys are on top of the game.
Thank you.
And I've also seen in the years that you guys continue to improve, which I'm commending you.
Thank you.
It's not just that you're our guest today, is that I've actually been a client, and I was like, you guys, this is awesome. Like, it'd be awesome for me to know the story of how it started. So who right now runs all the process? How many people work for Virtual Latinos that are not
part of the ones who work for our clients? So right now
Correct.
we have it'll be almost 160. We're like at 155, so it's a big team.
So you guys are big.
Yeah, it's
We're all
crazy.
Where's everybody?
Everybody's all around Latin America, and a few of us. In
Oh,
the
so they're
US.
also virtual?
Yeah, of course, they're all.
Oh,
virtual.
so your
There's
virtual
no
Latinos
office.
work at virtual?
Virtual
This
Latinos
is
work at
incredible.
virtual. Yeah, I mean, we were actually our first client. In fact, I wasn't actually trying to build a company at all.
Get out.
I was just trying to, I guess, kind of follow what other marketers were doing. So, I started just working in San Diego for the most part in terms of our clients for Preliminary. They were mostly all local San Diego, really, really small businesses. And when I mean small, I mean small. Like there's only 1 or 2 people who are the owners. And, you know, my biggest client ended up being an actual call center in Tijuana. So those had, you know, lots of employees. But my average client was like, you know, a very small team of under like 10 people. So like they really took everything, of course, to heart, because every dollar they would spend, it's coming from their money. You know, it's no big company, so they were always
Correct.
very careful to not spend money in a stupid way. So, and me myself having my own very small businesses, I cared just as much. So I didn't want to do anything to charge them too much. In fact, that was a problem, because a lot of people who started, you know, trying to give me advice, they're like, you know, now that we know your actual marketing services, the quality of the things that you're doing and the processes, you're actually working like a big agency, even though you're like 5 people in your team. You should definitely be charging higher prices, because people will be willing to pay them based on the quality that you're delivering. But then I'm like, you know, if I increase my prices, then less people are going to be able to work with me, because obviously, you know, they're not going to be able to afford it.
But
so,
the marketing services were not virtual assistants at the beginning. They were actually
not at all.
marketing.
Yeah, it was a marketing
services.
agency, a marketing service, correct.
And then in order for you to keep the prices down, you started
Yes.
hiring, outsourcing.
That was the reason.
so
I'm
that
like,
you could charge less to your clients.
exactly. I wanted to keep the pricing
rates.
mostly the
Wow,
same,
this is crazy.
without having, without losing my clients. But in this case, I'm like, well, I can obviously just either increase my pricing or lower my costs. And then so when I went to marketing conferences in San Diego, which they happened to be the Traffic and Conversion Summit, social media marketing world, those were happening, and I think are happening still in San Diego. So I started going to these things, and then I met basically speakers who would be talking about hiring virtual. They were hiring people in the Philippines, right? So I'm like, oh, no wonder, like all these American agencies that are like marketing agencies, they pretend to be all like in the US with, I mean, they don't say they don't have teams in the US, but they don't mention that they have people in the Philippines, right? So they're like charging American prices with American salespeople, but all their like actual back end of the work is done in the Philippines, which is why they have a much lower cost and they can make money, right? Because I was struggling.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, no wonder all these marketing agencies are making, I guess, money in some way.
Bigger margins, bigger profit.
Yeah, bigger
because
margins.
Their costs are much lower.
Much lower, right? So I'm like, okay, that's probably a good idea. But I mean, I didn't really want to hire people in the Philippines because it was so far away. But I'm like, okay, it looks like this. Then I learned, okay, this industry's been around for like 30 years. People hire VAs. It's a thing. I guess I'm late to the party, but I should probably try it. And even though separately, a little side note, my dad had a company called Outsourcia, so he was starting to do contract manufacturing, which is basically the outsourcing of physical manufacturing of products in Mexico, as opposed to in China. So he was starting to try to get people to manufacture in Mexico before COVID happened and before a lot of stuff, where it was not easy to find a company who would help you find the factories and the people in Mexico to actually do contract manufacturing, which means you get a factory to do it for you instead of you building your own factory in Mexico. So when I was working by helping my dad, you know, I set up his website and I was doing, you know, things for him because I knew how to do all that stuff.
You were doing the free marketing for your dad.
Yeah, the free marketing for my dad, exactly. So then, you know, while chatting, we're like, you know, why don't we create actually a directory of people in Tijuana and in Baja California of the companies that offer all different types of services for people who want to manufacture products in Mexico. I mean, if they want to hire us for us to manage it, which in this case they would hire my dad's company, then of course he'd manage the project and he'd make a commission. But if people just want to basically Google a directory of finding people, talent, it would be a good idea. So, you know, doing websites, I decided, you know, I can probably find a plugin to create a directory without me having to program the whole thing, and I did. It was probably like $50. I installed it on my dad's website, and then I'm like, okay, let's basically let people apply to create profiles. So, you know, I started, I think it was probably just on Craigslist or by word of mouth from my dad, and a bunch of people started to apply, and like they all were interested.
Mexicans from Tijuana. Applying, hey, I want to be in your directory. In your directory in case I can get
I can get free marketing, right? Or like free projects, because we weren't going to charge them anything. So yeah, people were like, okay, I want to be in. So they started filling out the application. Then, you know, we would review them, and if we thought they would be good people, we would tell them, okay, here's your username and password, and you can put in your logo or your picture of you, and then just make a list of your services, just kind of like Fiverr or Upwork at a much smaller version. And then they started getting clients through our directory. So more people came and more people wanted to be in our directory. So I'm like, okay, there's something good here. It's probably going to be interesting, and we could keep growing it. But, I was doing it for free. My dad wasn't charging. We weren't making any money.
So how many people were signing up?
At the time, we actually published like 30 people that created their profiles. A lot more applied. Probably close to 100 or 100 and something.
How'd you get the word out to get 100 people to apply to a random
a very random website in my dad? Because my dad was going to Tijuana almost daily, so he started talking to the people that he was working with, and I think they spread the word.
Their friends
and their friends. I don't think I paid anything to promote it because we weren't going to make any money, but I probably would have created a free post on Craigslist, maybe. I don't actually remember, but I'm like, okay, it's a good idea. Clearly people in Latin America want to get exposed
at least in Tijuana.
At least in Tijuana, people, right?
So you got 30 people signed up.
Yeah, and people started,
and then some of them actually got jobs.
Yeah, so they told us, it's good, like people are, because we would let them publish their name and email and phone number. Like, obviously we're not here to make money, that wasn't the goal. So we definitely told them, publish whatever you want, your email, your phone number, and people are going to call you, right? So it was good. And that just is like, closing the parentheses. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a good idea to connect American people with Latin people directly through a directory. So, but then, that was put on pause. I got busy and I didn't really keep doing that. But then I started hiring people in the Philippines by myself. So I'm like, I don't want to go through an agency, because I was like, I got to keep my costs as low as possible.
But this was for you to
for
work
me,
with
for my
them.
marketing
Okay,
agency. So I'm like, I need to find virtual marketers. So that's all I needed, virtual marketers to replace my American San Diego based marketers.
Okay.
Because I had my entire team was just in San Diego.
So you went through the competition before they were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, it wasn't even competition. For me, it was just
it didn't exist.
It didn't exist. I'm like, I'm just doing what everybody else is doing.
Else will do.
So I bought actually a book called Virtual Freedom from the guy that I met at the marketing conference.
Okay.
He's from Australia, but I believe he already now lives in the Philippines. And he basically, in the entire book, is all about how to hire Filipinos, like step by step, how to write a job post, how to publish a job, where to find Filipinos, and basically the whole explanation for how to hire VAs, because I want to hire them on my own. At the time, I didn't think it was a good idea to go through an agency because I know they would get a cut. And I'm like, I want to grow my team, so I want to be able to do it on my own and do it on my own to learn how to do it. I can tell you now that it was a pretty bad idea.
You flew to Philippines or?
No, never, just all online. There's a website called onlinejobs.ph, still around.
From the Philippines?
From the Philippines. And it's basically a huge directory where people that are looking for hiring Filipinos like me, you pay $50 for one job post, and then you have hundreds of people apply.
That many? So
yeah, hundreds. So that was like both good but bad, because I'm like, crap, there's so many people applying. How am I going to go through all these people's information? And especially because I'm doing it by myself and not through an agency, like, this is going to take a while. And it took me a while. Just hiring the first person took me at least like 3 months, because in general I was busy managing my business, and then I had to review candidates and then figure out resumes, who to interview, and I had to interview a lot of people, and I'm like a really picky guy. So I'm like, I can't hire the wrong hire, because if I hire the wrong hire, then it's going to cost me even more time.
What were you looking for in the first hire?
The first one was just going to be like general or generalist digital marketer. So someone who had a little bit of experience in different things: email marketing, social media, some SEO. So she or he had to be a generalist, but with some existing experience working ideally with American companies. So that was my biggest requirement. Like, I wanted to hire people who already knew how to do digital marketing in the US, because digital marketing in Latin America is very different. I think that now that I've been, going to all these conferences and seeing, let's say, the latest when it came to digital marketing, I realized, okay, the Americans are at the front of all these strategies
at
and
the top.
Email marketing, automation, all this stuff that, compared to hearing, how I know my friends and businesses, they work in Mexico, is very different, right? Things have caught up. They're behind usually, right? So I'm like, I can't just find a Filipino that doesn't know how to do modern, let's call it, digital marketing, right? So because I already knew that all these people in the Philippines have been working with American companies for a while, if I found someone, it's much more likely that these people would have had some experience working with a marketing agency or a company at their marketing department. So that was a good thing, and I did. I started basically asking them, hey, have you heard of the organization called digitalmarketer.com, which is the company who organizes the Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is the marketing conference that I went to.
And you met this guy with the book. And
Yes, I
everything.
met the guy
Okay.
with the book. So I'm like, if the Filipinos have heard of this organization, that means they have either taken the training, because it's a company that does digital marketing training. That's what they sell.
Okay.
So I'm like, if they heard of this website, that means they probably know about the courses, or they took the courses, so that means they might know. And
They have
I'm
some
like,
experience
they have
in
some
the US.
experience. But then even if they don't, I actually paid digital marketer. I paid for their courses, so they had certifications. So I bought them all, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy all the certifications, and I'm still going to make the Filipinos that I hire go through these certifications, because
Good.
I want to make sure that they actually go through it, make sure they get the certification and read the whole thing, and then I'm going to be like, okay, I can trust that these people know what they're doing, right?
So you hired this one person.
So I hired this one person, and the first person was a pretty bad experience.
Choice? Okay, so she's no longer with you. I'm guessing.
No. She's definitely no. I don't have any Filipinos with me, but so I hired a total of 5 Filipinos, but
From
except one.
back to back?
Back
or?
to back, yeah, back to back, because the first one actually scammed me. They said, hey, like, I'm really starting out. I do have experience, but can you give me the first $100 in advance? I'm like, okay, $100, not a big deal. I'll pay the lady $100.
But they lose the whole thing after that.
And then like, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna show up on Monday, right? She's like, yeah, I'll show up on Monday. And then like she would not show up, or she would show up late. And long story short, the first one I realized was scamming a bunch of people like me and a bunch of Filipinos. I joined like a Facebook group of hiring Filipinos, where there's both Americans looking for Filipinos and Filipinos looking for clients. And then they posted the image of this lady who I hired.
Oh, so you're...
So, and they're like, hey, we're Filipinos, and this lady's been scamming us. She's been telling us to do a bunch of work, and then she doesn't pay us. So she was scamming people both ways, charging us some in advance, and then the other, poor other Filipinos who got taken advantage of. And then other people didn't take advantage of me, but the work didn't work out for me, and the quality wasn't there. There's really great, hardworking people in the Philippines. I have zero, I'm not trying to talk down anything about the people in the Philippines, but I didn't have a good experience myself. And then the last lady who I had was amazing. Her English was better than mine. She spoke English like a Native American person. I was pretty impressed. And she told me, like, I've never been to the US, but since I've been young, I've been learning English, and now I'm teaching my kids to speak in English all day. So it was really impressive. She had a lot of marketing experience, but because I was just starting out, I couldn't pay like a very good rate. So she told me, listen, I like working with you, but I got a better offer somewhere else, so I'm leaving, right? And after all these people working with me, enough time had passed. I'm like, I'm really tired of finding good talent, because the good talented Filipinos, they want to work in their time zone, which means they gotta work when I'm at night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is really not good. I don't want to be having
for your
people.
clients.
Yeah, especially for my clients, and for me, I have to be,
and was
up at night. And
was your agency at this point with a lot of clients, or
no?
Because you were hiring 5 people, like, to do what?
Yeah, yeah. Well, 5 people total. None of them at the same time. So one didn't work out, and then I hired another one.
Okay,
but I mean, that was the first one. I'm like, if it works, then I'm gonna hire more people at the same time. So I kept my team in San Diego. So I had like a social media person, I had a graphic designer, I had a project manager, I had a lot of different people still working in San Diego. I'm
for
like,
your clients.
For my clients, right? Managing all my stuff. I'm like, once I can get one consistent Filipino to do the job properly, then I'll hire the second one, right? But it never worked out. So then I'm like, I gotta find an alternative. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta just drive to TJ, meet with the people who know people in Tijuana, and I gotta find a Mexican.
Someone that works in that time zone, who's honest and hardworking.
Exactly. Honest, hardworking, speaks English. Ideally, they'll have a visa, so if they need to come to my office to work in San Diego, they'll just cross once a month or something, right? So the long story short is I did go to the co-working spaces. I started chatting with the people who knew Tijuana, because I didn't really know it myself, and know, let's say, the people in the industry. And so, they're like, look, Jaime, Tijuana is mostly a place for manufacturing. It's a place also for finding lots of great web developers and tech talent, but like, you're not gonna find digital marketers. It's just big corporate companies that are from the US that have offices in Mexico. They're in Mexico City. They're in Guadalajara. You're not gonna find those people in Tijuana. They're just not here.
Yeah, the digital marketers are not in Tijuana.
Yeah, they're not in Tijuana. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? So I actually just kind of gave up, but I found a graphic designer. She had not really much marketing experience, but I'm like, you're good. You can do graphic design. I'll teach you all the marketing stuff you need. She spoke in English, and she was up for the challenge. She's like, yeah, give me whatever courses. Yeah, from Tijuana. She's like, give me whatever courses you want. So I gave her like 8 courses of this digitalmarketer.com, and she started to take the courses, and then she learned to do the basics of what I needed for digital marketing, and she worked out great. She worked with me for a year. And I'm like, okay, finally, I got somebody in Tijuana. That's it. Then I'm gonna hopefully find more, and that's it. We're starting, to be able to grow the team in Tijuana. But same kind of thing happened. She's actually the lady I hired to do the 360-degree videos. So she came to my wedding, and she was
put a hat on.
Put a hat on. So this is 2018. So I got married March 2018, and Virtual Latinos, I bought the domain in January. So I didn't even hire her with the idea of Virtual Latinos. She was just for the marketing agency, but I already bought the domain, and I'm like, okay, if she works out, then maybe I can hire more people for me, and potentially I could do this for other people. So that's kind of where the idea was.
So you tested a Virtual Latino on Virtual Latinos.
On Luminati, which was just the marketing agency first. And then
she turned out to be great.
She turned out to be great. But then literally like the day or 2 days after my wedding, she's like, hey, Jaime, I've been loving working with you, but I just got a great offer because she spoke great English. It was great. She got an offer from like a European company that was going to have her work remotely too and pay her a lot more than me. Like more than double. So I'm like, oh, that's great. Good for you, but obviously I can't pay you that.
I even feel bad that she was leaving, but I'm sure you felt like that too. You're like, no, you're so great.
Yeah, you're so great. So I'm like, okay. And I already know that I can't go waste my time in Tijuana again. I'm just not going to find what I'm really looking for. So that's when I started looking to actually an agency. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go through the Philippines in terms of doing it myself, and I don't want to do it myself in Latin America again either. I don't want to waste my time. At this point, I learned it was not worth my time anymore to try to hire people like all over Latin America myself. Okay. Yeah. So I started basically searching on Google, like I want to find virtual assistants in Latin America. And to my surprise, there was nothing. The only thing I could find was Upwork.
Okay.
Right, which is a place for hiring freelancers.
Yeah, like it's like Fiverr and Upwork.
Upwork. So
they're all over the world. They're not specifically in Latin America.
Correct. They're not just in Latin America. So then, and even at the time, like the cheapest people that I would find there were like $10 an hour, which was a lot for me at the time in 2018. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. That's not going to work out for me. I got to find people somehow on my own, or find an agency. I just wanted to hire an agency to do it for me. Like I was ready to do it. And the only company I found is a company called You Assist Me. It's still around, but their model didn't hire people from all over Latin America, which is what I wanted. They only hired from El Salvador or Nicaragua, one of the two countries, and they basically were sort of a call center, but they were branding themselves as offering virtual assistants, which is the term.
But it's just call center. They weren't doing all the
No, they did offer the service as a VA that was admin and maybe sales and marketing, but you can only hire them in one location and only through them. Like it wasn't a talent pool that was from all over Latin America. So I'm like, okay, I could obviously hire with them, but I'm like, what if the talent I want is not just in that country or in that city?
Of course.
I want to be able to find the best talent in Latin America. And that's when I saw the opportunity to like, okay, well, maybe I'll build it. You know, if it
something
doesn't
just
exist.
clicked.
So something just clicked. I'm like, I remember my dad's outsourcing directory, and I knew there was demand, and now I see a great opportunity because there's nothing, no one offered virtual assistants or virtual marketers in Latin America. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's a good opportunity. And I can tell you that, you know, I spent the many years I worked with my dad trying to find the business that we can actually grow bigger. And most of it was in e-commerce because I was doing marketing with my dad. But, you know, all the e-commerce opportunities, you know, we evaluated. You know, there was like too much competition already. Like for selling whatever product, there's always too much competition in the US. So I'm a guy who loves to kill ideas. I'm like, this idea, nah, probably not a good idea, right? And I don't want to waste my time on something that might not work out. Like no one does. So me and my dad had many ideas, but never really took action in any of them to actually start.
But you had a successful directory. You saw a need because you needed it yourself, and then you feel it, and you're like, nobody's doing this.
Yeah.
And that's when you provide a solution to a problem.
Exactly.
And that's literally what you did. This is amazing.
Yeah. So and the truth is, I wasn't even yet thinking it would be big enough to help like a lot of clients. And in fact, Virtual Latinos only started with the idea of hiring only virtual marketers. So I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. So that's all I'm going to look for, just virtual marketers.
But you've expanded to...
Then I expanded once I started to see that people who started hiring, they're like, hey, you know, that's cool, virtual marketers, but like, I just need an admin guy, or I just need someone to do like other types of tasks. Can you help me? I'm like, yeah, I guess I can. So that's when we started to expand the roles.
So let's get some stats. So what countries do you have most of the virtual Latinos from, and sort of what's the breakdown?
Today, the number one country is actually Colombia. But it wasn't. It was Mexico for the longest time. Mexico was our number one.
Wow,
And
Colombia's outbid Mexico.
Colombia's outbid Mexico.
Come on, Mexicans, let's go.
But by a lot
Nos
now.
están mis mexicanos. Oh,
Sí.
ya perdimos.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna catch up. Colombians have been taking over, and there's a lot of.
Is it because there's
talent.
more people applying in Colombia? Is it because there's a bigger country, or is it
No,
because
Mexico's
there's
probably a much bigger country, but the reality is
the talent in Colombia?
The talent in Colombia is great. I think the reason it's changed a lot is because Mexico, compared to Colombia, it's a lot more expensive now in terms of the standard of living, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as Mexico became more expensive, people were expecting a higher payout in Mexico. So the people who we were attracting in Mexico were now less attracted to working with us.
Because you have to raise the cost to your clients.
Correct, and I haven't done that until last year. That was the first time we raised our prices in 7 years.
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
right
so we'll
now,
talk
but-
about that in a minute,
so
right?
Colombia was first, then Mexico.
Colombia's now first. Now it's still Mexico number 2, and then Honduras. Honduras is a
Wow.
great place with a lot of amazing talent, and then Venezuela is coming up 4th, and now Argentina is slowly catching up. There's a lot of people in Argentina now applying.
So
to
you do
levels.
have Argentina. So now name me some of the other countries that you have people.
All
Yeah,
of
from
them.
El Salvador. You
El
have
Salvador, Nicaragua, Panamá, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Brazil, Chile, all the countries where they speak English. Where they speak Spanish, and in this case Portuguese too. We don't have people in Cuba because Cuba doesn't really have internet, so that's really the
So
reason.
you do have people
Everywhere.
Do you have to fly? So walk me through like the first people in outside of Mexico, because I know you grew up in Mexico. But did you ever have to fly to these countries?
No. So I guess I'll share. I think it's an interesting fact. I'm not sure, but so I have really zero background in recruitment. I've never worked at a corporate company doing any recruitment.
Yeah.
So I don't really. Now I know, but at the time I didn't know anything about recruitment, and I didn't even have time to think. Oh, should I go learn what do recruitment companies do? I never even. Honestly, it didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, you know what? I'm a marketer. I'm gonna be able to. I want to just figure out a way to attract talent, right? In this case, I had to attract both sides, clients and VAs. So I really
you need both.
You need both. So the truth is, I really just used my marketing brain, and I'm like, I'm gonna just start a company by trying to attract both sides and putting them in touch, which is what we do in a way, right? But never thought about figuring out, what do recruitment companies do? What is their process? How do they vet people? Like, do you need to get X or Y? I just totally made up a total process. To this day, we use the process that we just made up. I just made it up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But so the first people that you were hiring as virtual assistants, virtual Latinos, you must have interviewed them.
Yes.
And then eventually you hired VAs to do
The work.
VL stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
so-
my God, this is so good.
So the first lady who I hired who had to replace the graphic designer from Tijuana. So once I started the whole business with just the directory. So today we have only the agency model where people do have to hire through us and we do all the work for them.
Correct.
But at the time, because I guess I didn't think too much about it, and even though I didn't like hiring on my own, I thought, well, I guess this company, onlinejobs.ph, has so many clients, I could probably do the same. So I'm like, let's do that. So I actually created a version of the directory from the Philippines, but in Latin America. The big difference, which is why it was good, but also not good, is that I vetted the talent myself, all of it, which was a lot of work for me. But the people were great. So the people who started initially not paying me, just testing the directory for free, I just told people, please hire from the directory. I just needed people to get jobs. I'll tell you how we connected them initially, right? But I wanted to make sure people found that the talent was good. So once both the people who paid me nothing to post a job, as well as the ones who started paying me, but only a one-time fee to post a single job, they're like, man, wow, these people are great. Like, you clearly did a good job vetting them. Because I really took the time to make sure that both through the interview process and the way that I created the process to vet them, it filtered out all the people who were either lazy or didn't have the qualifications or the English skills wasn't good enough. So the people that end up being part of what we call the Virtual Latinos community, they were really good. So then clients were like, oh great, I want to pay you another $50 to post another job. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna make any money at $50 at a time. Like, it's gonna take
every time they need a job.
Every time they need it, like to the amount of work that I was investing to vet the talent. So eventually I started charging for the directory a lot, $100 a post, then $150 a post, and then I'm like, even this is not gonna make me grow as a company. So then I started charging $50 a month instead of just one time. And people happily pay
subscription.
a subscription fee. Then $100 a month, then $150 a month. People kept paying me.
How many people were posting jobs at this point?
At least.
if you have 10 at $100, that's $1,000.
Yeah,
If you have 50,
correct. So the volume of clients wasn't a lot, which is why I realized I wasn't going to grow the model like that, because I had to do. Well, initially I was doing all the work myself. Then I started hiring people, right? But it was still expensive to do all the vetting. So at the time, I don't know how many people were like actually hired through the directory. Maybe close to 50 people actually hired that I can remember. But in the directory, we ended up having close to 250 clients register, like for an account, even if not all of them hired. So there was interest.
250 that were job posting?
That had signed up for an account to be able to post a job, but then maybe a total of 100 people actually posted and paid for a job. So not that many. And at the time, the biggest thing I realized is like, people are happy to pay $50, but then not only was I spending time vetting the people, then I spent even more time talking to clients who were like, hey, I love your directory and these people are great, but like, can you help me write a job post? Or like, can you help me write a legal agreement? And like, how do I hire them and how do I pay them? I'm like, oh man, this is gonna take a while. And so I was gonna hire, like I was helping everyone, but then I spend more time between vetting the people and then helping them hire. That's when I said to myself, okay, clearly people need a lot more help than just finding a directory.
Just the connect.
Yeah, so just the connect. So I'm like, okay, then I guess I gotta create the agency. So that's when I said, okay, even though that's not my plan and I didn't want to grow a big team, I'm like, I'm probably gonna need a team to help me do all this stuff and then actually build an agency where we do all that work for them. And that's what we do now, which is a lot of people, right? But then
you have 160 people right now. Did you have a part in hiring every internal virtual Latino member? So you eventually hire a virtual Latino to oversee the virtual Latino.
Yeah. So the first lady, her name is Cynthia. She was from Guatemala and she was a marketer because I was trying to replace the lady from Tijuana, and it was just to help me with my Bluminari clients. There's no virtual Latinos at all. Yeah. It was just like the promise of a potential company that I might build. Just an idea. I said, okay, I'm gonna hire you for my marketing agency, but as you know, I'm trying to create this thing called virtual Latinos. But like the truth is, I'm not sure if it's gonna work. I don't have any clients. There's nothing. I'm just trying to attract at least 100 people to put in my directory, and once I have 100 people, then I got to figure out how to get a bunch of clients because I have 0 clients. So I had to find the balance of having people and promising them the fact that there are going to be jobs for them, and then making sure that they didn't wait around too long to find a job. So I said to myself, the moment that I have the ability to post 100 people into my directory, which is 10 pages of browsing, because each page on my directory would show like 10 people at a time. Okay. So I'm like, when there's like 10 pages, then that'll look like legit enough. Yeah. So when I have that, then I'm gonna start advertising to potential clients and tell them, hey, I have a bunch of Latinos that you can hire. So that's how I did it. I waited for having 100 people in the directory, and then I started advertising to clients so that 100
virtual Latinos wanting to work
and qualified
and then
already.
You sent them to your client.
Exactly. Then I would. At the beginning, I didn't even send them. I just told them the directory is ready. Just log in and go find them yourself.
Checking
them out, and I just said, please, like, you're not gonna pay me anything. I'm not gonna charge you anything. There's no job post fee. Just please hire them because I promised them a job.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so this lady who started working with me, to answer your question, Cynthia, she became my digital marketing for Bluminari, and then within a couple months, I'm like, hey, this virtual Latinos looks like it might work. Let me teach you how to do the recruitment that I've been doing because I was doing it all myself. So then she started to learn how to do the recruitment in terms of vetting the people, answering questions for the clients, and then starting to do the process as a recruitment agency. So she started. She became my recruiter. I taught her, and then she became my main person. And then I'm like, okay, now you're too busy. So then I hired the second person. Then I'm like, okay, now I need an actual marketer to replace you because now you're my recruitment person.
Is Cynthia still around?
No, unfortunately, she's not around. She left last year. She was with us for like 4.5 seconds. But yeah, she definitely helped out a lot, and I'm very grateful to her. So yeah, definitely a big shout out. It was a big, important, success because thanks to her, she let me focus on other stuff.
How many did she hire? How fast was her growth?
So, I hired the first probably like 10 people in our team directly myself, maybe 15. And then once we were like around 10 or 15, then those people started hiring people underneath them. So, and then those people
with your approval.
Yeah, with my approval initially. So I actually probably approved up to the first like maybe 30 or 40 people.
And then you just gave him like a range, you gave him a budget, like you told him you can only hire up to these people.
Yeah.
and they have to be paid up to this much amount.
Exactly.
So you set up the whole budget structure and everything,
Yeah.
and then they just followed it.
Yeah, and they still do it. I mean, I still now approve a few roles, like the most senior roles, but that's it. I don't approve the rest of them. Yeah. So yeah, it's been cool. It's definitely been a challenge because I had zero experience of what I was doing in terms of recruitment. Now I realized a lot of things that I didn't know before. Like, for example, people would start to ask me, well, like, this sounds good, but when can I convert them from temporary workers to like full-time permanent workers? I'm like, I mean, I didn't tell them at the time, but I'm like, I have zero idea what this guy is asking. I have no idea what they're asking. I'm like, I'm a digital marketer. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the legalities or the
even the terminology.
To
yeah, so I'm like, I mean, once I hanged up, I'm like, okay, let me Google this because I have no idea what it means. But I understood from what they were trying to describe what it meant, but I didn't really understand. But so in the recruitment agency model in the U.S., temporary staffing agencies, you can hire them to help you find someone that initially you tell them, hey, I'm going to hire them for like 2-3 months because I want to test them, and then I'm going to pay them through you, which means you pay the staffing agency, and then they pay them. Okay. And then if you like them, then you convert them into becoming part of your team as an actual employee. So that's what it's called. They stop paying me, and then they pay those people directly, and then they pay me some recruitment fee.
Is that better for you?
No, that's not better for me. But I mean, that's what that person who asked me. That's what she meant. But at the time, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about because that's not our model. Our model for the agency was always like, you always pay us, and we always pay them.
Yeah.
And they're technically already full time as long as you pay them full time. There's no conversion between temp because we don't do any temporary work. Everybody that you hire, the goal is that you always work with.
Yeah, and I've seen some of their, just being a client itself, like you guys have different rates, whether it's, under 20 hours or over 30 hours and 40 hours full time. You mentioned that those change. You want to talk about what the rates are for right now?
Yeah. So, we started offering the lowest rate at $8 an hour since 2018. And that rate stayed till last year, 2024.
That's entry level
positions, which were people with 1 to 2 years of experience. Today, and definitely for all of our clients as of 2 months ago in January, the minimum is now $10 an hour, and that's still actually very competitive compared to these rates these days in terms of what the competition offers, and compared to the U.S. rates, $10 an hour is still very affordable. But yeah, we had to increase the price to both, in this case, pay more to the people, and we did now finally increase our profit margins. So we actually started always making sure that people knew that no matter who they hired, we were not going to make a percentage-based profit, which is how most companies do. If you hire somebody more expensive, and let's say my profit margin is 30%, if you hire somebody that's more expensive, 30% will be more, right? But I chose to, from the beginning, tell our clients, listen, no matter who you're going to hire, whether it's the lowest person or the most expensive person, I as a company, I'm going to make the same amount of money, because I wanted to make sure that they knew that I wasn't incentivized to try to consult with them and offer them a more expensive person.
So that's interesting. So whether you have an entry level $10 an hour person
or $20 an hour,
or a $20 an hour person,
as a company, I wouldn't make more money. Yeah,
got it. That's very interesting.
We paid ourselves a flat dollar amount per hour, right? And that really helped out, because in general, people started to trust that whatever we recommended to them in terms of who they should hire was really purely to help them, because it wasn't going to make me a difference.
Almost like a fiduciary.
Yeah. I felt it was the right thing to do.
Let's help them. That's really awesome. That's great.
And I can tell you, to this day, that's still true.
What is the most expensive rate or most qualified person?
So I'll tell you about the rates that we have today. They may change in the future, but entry level right now is $10 to $12 an hour. Then we have what we call mid-range or mid-level, which is people with 3 to 5 years of experience. That's right now between $13 to $17 an hour. And then we have expert level, which is usually 7+ years of experience in a specialty, and those start at $18 an hour. Now that's the rate that includes everything. That includes, let's say, what you're kind of paying us without paying any fee. That's what you pay us, and that's it. There's no employment taxes, there's no regular taxes, there's nothing. That's the rate you pay.
No additional fees.
No additional fees of any kind. And now we pay between 70% to 90% of what you pay as a client to those people. So we actually keep a very small commission on purpose. And again, first because I thought it was the right thing to do. Now I know that it's actually a good strategy, because just right now at the show, someone's like, hey, one of your competitors, we're not so happy with them because like we learned that they keep like 50%.
Yeah.
So whatever the client pays, the guy only gets half.
Yeah,
Now,
no, it creates
it's
trust.
not that
with
it's
you guys.
wrong, but because those people are getting paid less, they're less likely to stay for longer because then you're gonna find a job that pays them more.
Absolutely. And at the same time, like they can always hire more people when they know that what they're doing is the right thing for the people that they're hiring.
Correct.
And for me, like the experience has been always like positive.
Thank you.
You guys also make it easy to being able to give out a bonus and give it directly, and that goes like 100% to them. So talk about that.
That's right. Yeah. So because we don't actually force our clients to give people raises or paid vacation, because it's like part of the business model of like hiring a contractor, which is what they're, legally speaking, hiring from us. We wanted to incentivize people to give people a raise or a bonus, so that the people that they're hiring would actually have an incentive to stay, to grow with their companies. And I just thought that the right thing to do is also to, like, whatever you're going to pay them, they're the ones really doing all the work, when it comes to day-to-day tasks. So anything that you want to pay them, whether it's a bonus or actually give them a raise, 100% of it goes to them. So we don't make a single cent off of it, and I still believe it's the right thing to do, and we're not changing that anytime soon. Yeah, so we're happy about that.
That's really, really good. Do you tell me you guys are going to Colombia and having like a little fiesta with the people there? Come on, you gotta have with your how many people in Colombia are working? Hundreds, I'm guessing.
Several hundreds.
Yeah, come on, you gotta have virtual Latinos in Colombia, man.
So we went, like, first, to answer your question, most people think it's like, oh, these guys probably travel a lot to Latin America to hire, but like we never do. We do everything digital because we're digital marketers.
Go right now and film it.
Last year was our third Virtual Latino Summit, and we went to Colombia.
You said you did?
No, we did. Oh, you're joking?
Yeah.
I thought you never told you.
No.
Oh, yeah, we did.
That's why I was like, tell me you guys have been doing this.
Yeah, so we did finally. So actually, 4 years ago now. Yeah, today's 2025. Yeah, so 4 years ago, for the first time, I invited some of our internal team members, the ones who work for us internally, to San Diego. Copying one of our clients from San Diego, who was our biggest client at the time, this guy was inviting people who were part of Virtual Latinos, but who work for them.
Thanks, brother.
They were inviting them every 3 months to San Diego in person. So I got to meet the Virtual Latinos that were not part of my team, but working for our clients. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I wish I could do that, but I'm like, the company's not that big yet. I can't pay all these people to come fly to San Diego.
San Diego's nice.
San Diego's nice. So, but eventually, I'm like, okay, I gotta get to the place where I can afford to bring at least the leadership team to San Diego. And so I did in 2021, in October 2021, and it was the first time we were ever working in person. And I was like, this is amazing.
You got to meet them in person and everything.
And I was like, I couldn't believe the amazing power of being actually in person and the interactions that we had. And long story short, it was like literally life changing. So I'm like, we gotta do this again every year. So then we actually did the first Virtual Latino Summit. That was not just for the leadership team, but for like the actual internal Virtual Latinos team. And so we invited 30 people to Cancun. So the first time we did it was in Cancun at an all-inclusive for a week. It was amazing. Then we did it again. This time we invited 40 people, also in Cancun. And then last year we brought 60 people from our internal team to Medellin and Bogota. So it was amazing. And this time we actually had a whole part of the summit that was just for fun. We usually actually just mostly worked, which was great, but then like people were tired.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was fun. So you invited some of the actual virtual Latinos.
Yeah, Latinos that work in the internal
work
team.
for but not in the internal.
Not the ones from our clients. That one we have not done yet.
Oh, that's what I meant. I meant together those 400 Colombians having like a great time.
So
with you
this
guys.
is part of what we're planning on doing this year. This year we actually budgeted actually doing in-person events. At least in Mexico and in Colombia, because that's where we have the most people.
It makes perfect sense to do something in Colombia.
Exactly.
Because Colombia is less expensive and you have the most people.
Exactly. So Mexico City, where we have a lot of people, and in Bogota, we're going to do this year an event in person so that they just come and meet up and go party, basically.
Is this public information? Can you tell the dates? This is really fun.
We don't have any dates yet.
Okay.
It's definitely not public information yet. But yeah, we're definitely excited to do it, because right now when we went to Colombia last year for our Virtual Latino Summit, we invited, we couldn't afford to invite everybody because the team is big.
Yeah.
Like 60 people came, but then people who were not technically invited for the whole thing, but they lived in Bogota or in Medellin, we told them, hey, come over for the dinners anyways, right? So they were also invited.
Yeah.
And it was just so good to see more and more people. So I'm like, if we invite even more people than ones working for our clients, they're gonna love being in person, just like we did.
It's gonna be super cool, man. Cool. I'm so glad. I wanna
go too. I'm not sure I'm going. I don't know when it's happening.
On part 2, a year later, or to see how this thing went in Colombia. We could put some like B-roll footage right here. That'd be really, 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 really awesome. Do you remember the 1,000 virtual Latino hire, or I guess
not the person, but we've been actually doing basically parties every time we get to a big number. So the first party we did was when we got to 300 people.
That's big, yeah.
I'm like, man, this is crazy. So we did like Zoom parties because it's all on Zoom. But like some
did Zoom parties?
Yeah, but like a lot of people for like 3 hours. We're like, people bring their drinks. We would do
kidding.
giveaways and games. And I mean, during those parties, most people just chat about either their jobs or like personal stuff. And also they share their positive experiences of how Virtual Latinos has helped them, change their lives. And then we did another party when we were 500 people. Then when we were 750 people. Then we did the one we recently did was actually 1,500 people, and we did 1,000 people. So it's like, it's a big jump.
That's so awesome.
Now we're waiting for the 2,000.
I can't wait. What about revenues? Where are you guys in revenues, like projections? Where do you guys want to be next? 3 years, 5 years?
So revenue, unfortunately, we don't usually publish it, so I'm not going to be able to talk about that right now. But I can tell you that we've been growing when it comes to like growth a lot. I mean,
like year over year percentages?
Year over year. For the first, I guess, 3 years, we grew a lot, which is where we got into the Inc. 5,000 position 80 out of 5,000.
What does that mean?
That means that the growth was actually 5,762% in a 3 year period.
Yeah, that's crazy,
which is crazy,
bro.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Oh, that's so good to hear, man.
I mean, and then the second year...
that's so good, bro.
Yeah, so it's good. So we've been obviously very blessed, but the growth is exponentially, of course, harder to achieve. But I mean, we grew in terms of growth last year from revenue 50% from the year before. So from 2023 to 2024, we grew 50% higher.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as we're approaching our last couple minutes, there is a lot of other competitions, but I have an answer of what makes you guys different. But what makes Virtual Latinos for you guys different from any other company staffing?
So there's a lot of different things, but I think one of the most important thing that I believe we do is how we actually vet the talent. We really take a long time to vet the talent, and in this case also vet the clients. So we don't want to just vet to make sure that the Latinos are good. We also spend more time than the average company does when it comes to interviewing the clients. So because I'm a really picky guy, I'm picky, I guess, both ways.
You said that 3 times. I'm guessing it's true.
It's true, and I mean, I say it only because I really, the process that you're saying that is good and it works is because I really wanted to create it in such a way that like it was really going to show quality people, and that the clients also were going to understand that we actually cared about their needs too. We weren't trying to just sell them something quick, which is like what a lot of companies sometimes do. Is like, oh, talk to me in 15 minutes and in 2-3 days I send you a bunch of resumes.
Yeah. Which
is what I got when I did eventually try, at least, even though I never hired some agencies from the Philippines. But anyways, going back to what I believe makes us special is we really take a long time to vet the people. We vet them in several ways, but some of the important parts of how we vet them is we want to make sure that it's people that are really looking to grow. They're really looking to be people that are going to be outgoing. So people would actually make fun of me when we started our company. It's like, Jaime's favorite word is proactive. It's like, I wanted people to be proactive because like as a business owner,
instead of reactive, right?
You want people to like be proactive. Like, don't wait around for me to tell you what to do. If you want to stay here and work as a virtual assistant for a while, you better actually think about how you can continuously help me as a business owner, right? So that's definitely what I told my people who work for us internally. I'm like, you're definitely going to be hired, and that's great, but you got to know that I am expecting of you to always figure out a way to basically proactively think about how to do things better, how to help better, how to do things differently. If you're gonna be just waiting around for me to tell you what to do, you're not gonna last.
Once you guys hire, do you guys have meetings with the virtual Latinos, like for continued development? Because see, that's actually a great thing, because I feel like I need to be addressing my my virtual Latino was like, if I don't give you anything to do, you should still
definitely
be doing something, because I haven't talked to you in 5 days. Like, where you been?
So we created the Virtual Latinos Academy. So to answer your question, last year we launched either last year or 2 years ago, we launched the Virtual Latinos Academy. So we wanted to invest in making sure that the people that we have both hired or not hired are able to take courses to keep up with the skills. So
Okay.
we have like AI courses, we have legal admin courses, marketing courses. Like we're investing ourselves in creating this community that they actually see that we're not just here to help them find the job, but actually grow their careers. So that's one in terms of the academy. The other thing that we're doing in terms of when people do hire them is we have our customer success team follow up with both the clients and VAs separately. So we ask the VAs, hey, are you happy with our client, or they're a crappy client? Right?
And sometimes bosses are shitty.
Yeah, sometimes bosses are shitty. They're like, yeah, they don't tell us what to do, or like they don't give me any feedback. So then we have to have a conversation with the client. He's like, hey man,
that's
this
good.
person's not gonna last if you don't actually like
tell him
what to do, give him feedback.
Oh, that's good.
So we really make sure that if both sides are not happy, like we intervene. So that's also the part that's positive, right? We're not just like, okay, here's the VA and you work with them. Now you might have not heard maybe lately from our success account manager, because we usually have like a set number of follow-ups. Like
I do get the emails of the person.
Ah, okay.
And whoever it was great. I think there's like a new person. No, I'm not in any way. It's more like if I feel like I want to give her feedback additionally, perhaps, and maybe that's really what I need to just be doing. Hey, listen, like, just get on the phone with me, whatever we need to.
So every client does it differently. So one of the things we recommend is like at least in the beginning they gotta spend you as a client gotta spend enough time to train them. That's kind of obvious, but not everybody thinks it's obvious.
All my experience has been positive.
Okay, that's good.
I want to make sure that I guess I need to rephrase the question properly.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that it's not up to me that I'm letting them down. That's what I'm trying to say. That I'm not too detached where they feel like, hey, he's not really telling me what to do. Yeah, this has been really fun.
But I'd love to hear some feedback too, if you have any recommendations of what we can do better.
No, I mean, a lot of your systems are great. I mean, I was impressed from the very beginning. I'm sure you're going to continue to evolve. I'm sure AI is going to do a component where it's going to be able to crank these things out easier instead of manually.
Yeah, we do a lot of manual work.
And manuals where mistakes are made. And so the more that you develop these like quicker systems to do it, it'd be great. For my feedback, I think you guys could do a lot of stuff for social media to grow. In social media, in podcast environment, in this telling your story.
Yeah.
I think what differentiates Virtual Latinos from other ones, now that I know the full story, really is the leadership. It's you. It's your story.
Thank you.
It's that it's an incumbent. It's the story of the guys that come from the outside and just freaking disrupt something because it's so different. Otherwise, if you have I'm a recruiter mentality, I'm an HR, I'm going to do this, then they're stuck in this box. But you're coming in from the outside and really just like disrupting the way things should be moving. I think the in-person events should be a must. Like you shouldn't buy the 200, 300, 400, whatever. Just
no, I agree.
Somewhere.
The connections that we make are great.
Rent out I don't know, a small movie theater area, something. Have a big picture on the stage. I mean, make yourself almost
That's a good idea. I didn't think about a movie theater.
Like a you know who Patrick Bet-David is? Like,
no.
Whatever. And think of anyone from anyone that owns like a bigger company where the CEO then stands on the stage.
Comes like a big stage,
and everybody shows up and say, oh, "Look at what you guys are doing!" Like, and get the energy pumped up, and then film that, because it's rare to be able to have like 1,000 people that work for you, man. Like that's crazy, and you never even met them.
No, I know.
And so the energy of people that would show up would be awesome for you to tell like a story like that. And as a marketer, yourself and myself, we get excited on the idea of sharing stories.
For sure.
That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad that I got to chat with you.
Yeah.
I definitely want to obviously learn more about what you're doing, but we chatted last night a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was super cool. Jaime, man, it's been a pleasure.
Muchas gracias.
Un placer, brother.
Gracias por todo.
This has been another episode of the CEO InMotion.
Nice to be a part of this, so thank you, Chava, for the opportunity.
Absolutely, my brother. All right, and we saw some
Muchas
cool
gracias.
things. Un placer. Ciao.
Sí.